What is up, everybody? We are back with some Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and we're here to answer that question. Should you pull on the new Aerith Rebirth Summer Beachwear banner? If you guys are new to the channel and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment down below your thoughts on the banner. Do you agree with what I have to say? Do you disagree with anything? Did I not analyze something correctly, and I'm not giving something enough credit, or I'm giving it too much credit? Again, let us know down in the comments below. Again, for those of you who are new to the channel, these videos are more designed for somebody who is maybe free to play, or maybe a very, very, very light spender, somebody trying to figure out how to use their resources more wisely. This is not for the whales or for anybody who is, Aerith is your go-to character. You have to have everything for Aerith. I mean, if that's the case, pull for it. Like I said, just as I always say, the costume's the main prize at the end, so go for the costume, at least get to that stamp 12 so you can get that. But without further ado, then let's get into this banner. Starting off with the stamp card, it is our kind of standard stamp card at this point now. We've got a guaranteed featured weapon at stamp 2, stamp 6. We have a guaranteed 5-star or higher at stamp 4. And then we have the costume at 12, going on to stamp or page 2 of the stamp card. 4, 8, and 11 guaranteed featured weapons. 6 is a guaranteed 5-star higher weapon, and then we have the costume again at 12, and then the EX pages after that, where 6 and 12 are always a 5-star or higher. I definitely never recommend going on to the EX pages unless you're just trying to OB10 that weapon, and it's like a limited weapon, and you've had crap luck in how many you're getting in your pulls. With that being said, the reason there are 2 costumes here is because they have brought back Yuffie's outfit from before. They have done some boosts to it, where they've updated the HP physical def from 10 points to 15 points. What does that mean for it? Well, it means that now you're getting 10% HP and 15% physical defense instead of the 5 and 15. So really you're just getting 5% more HP, that's it. Unless again, Yuffie's that girl you gotta have everything for, I really don't recommend pulling for this. The Stripe Moogle Float, you can wishlist that item. The gear at this point has already kind of been outclassed. Unless, like I said, you just really want to main Yuffie. So then that leaves us with Aerith. First things first, what's the outfit look like? So this is her Rebirth swimsuit outfit. It looks great. It pulled straight from the game. Got the pink flowers, got the little silver chain in the back, the real red bow, silver chain down here, and her little high heel sandal. Again, she just looks absolutely gorgeous as she did in the game. And the weapon, I feel like, really fits the overall look of the outfit as well. I think they did a good job designing this around the outfit. You got the coral and like shells here. It looks really good. That being said, so what does this thing do? Well, we'll start with the pink flower pin. So magic defense plus 20, healing potency plus 10. So the healing potency is great. I'm not sure how I feel about it being magic defense only. I kind of wish it would have been like drop that magic defense down to 15 and give us magic defense and physical defense plus 15 instead of the magical defense plus 20, because that really starts to limit your use of this. Plus, she's got plenty of gear that already does this, again with that magic and physical defense. So why would you do this then, unless you know for specifically it's going to be a magic heavy battle? Again, not that it's bad, it's just I think it would have been better to do the split 15s for physical and magic. Now we do have a new ability here for a boost lightning potency to all allies. This is our first example of this. I'm assuming we're going to start seeing more of these coming. We're going to be getting all element boost to all allies, or not all element, but elemental boost to all allies. This is going to be raising that damage by 15%. Not a huge amount, but enough that you should see a little bit of a difference. It could be that difference between you finishing, the battle very hard 3 and EX1, or EX1 and EX2. It could be that slight chip and damage that you need to push you over that threshold. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like it's anything groundbreaking or anything like that. The other thing to kind of keep in mind with this is that, yes, it grants it to all allies, but think about what you're going to have in your party. Aerith's not going to be a DPS or support, she's going to be a healer. So this isn't doing much for her. I mean, she might be able to throw in some chip damage with a materia, but that's about where that ends. And there's a reason for that. We'll see in a little bit, because if you're going to be using the weapon with this, it's going to be probably an offhand weapon. And then, so you'll have your DPS, awesome, but your DPS is going to need somebody to debuff the enemy, lower that resistance, so you're going to need a support character. And that support character is not typically built around DPS. So really, this plus 15% is going towards your DPS, who's already probably sitting at 100% potency anyway. So I mean, he or she's already, like, you know, hit like a truck. So this really isn't going to provide, I don't think, a whole lot here. Again, not saying it's a terrible thing, but this, I don't feel like this is as powerful as it looks at first glance. Again, this is typically why I don't analyze these as soon as they come out, because I want to take time to kind of think about it, look over the banner, and really kind of come up with that decision there. Mermaid Rod. So P attack is increased low to low for all allies at base 5-star, has a magic heal of 5% of your healing potency, and when your HP is 70% or more, lightning damage is increased by low to low to all allies. It's going to provide a heal and buff debuff, which is awesome for Aerith, as she's going to be, that's going to benefit this, that buff debuff, and then heal. Of course, she's a healer. Having heal is always a great thing. When we get down to the S abilities, here's where there's a kind of an issue with this. So we got the magic attack boost, we have a heal boost, great, and then Circle Sigil. Aerith is going to be your big healer, and she's probably going to be needing to do multi-target heals. I kind of wish this heal boost would have been a heal all versus a heal boost. That really could have then opened up the idea of, in my opinion, main-handing this weapon, because you're not going to main-hand this thing unless you're going to be putting a heal all staff in your offhand, but you could put another buff staff in your offhand. If this had or debuff staff, if this had that heal all ability. So because of that, I see this being more in the offhand. Again, that's me. Of course, you could put the fairy tale in your offhand and run with that, but I don't know. That's just kind of where I see that. So if you get this thing to OB1, you're staying low to low. Your heal's gone to 6% from 5%. Your lightning damage increase is still that 70% threshold, HP has to be 70% or higher, and you can raise the lightning damage for all allies low to low. It's still a solid thing. The boost heal's at 42. I mean, so again, I'm going to look at it from the perspective of we're offhanding this thing. So that's 21 points, you're at 30% to your healing potency, which again, for a 1-star or a OB1 weapon, that's not bad. Providing that. The buff debuff is now at 15 points, but really, again, cut that in half. You're at that 40% buff debuff extension. So again, not terrible. Alright, you get this thing up to OB6. We see the first increase here. P attack is going to go mid to mid for all allies for 20 seconds. And healing potency's gone up to 7%. That lightning damage is still 70% or more. Again, the lightning damage, though, has gone from mid to high. So in 2 casts, you're going to have your lightning damage increased up to high. Again, it takes 2 casts. It only lasts 20 seconds. This buff debuff extension is going to be important for that, because that, in the grand scheme of things, does not last very long. And the extension is only 6 seconds. So you're going to want to buff this stat right here. Heal's gone to 54 points, so again, just this weapon alone, 27. So you're going to be at 45% of your healing potency. Buff debuff 27, so we're looking at 13, so you're still at that 40% here. Now, here's where things get interesting. Now, I don't mind this because it is a featured weapon and not a limited weapon. I know some people are getting a little unhappy with this being a gacha game, and I do understand where they're coming from, but at the same token, I get it when it's a weapon that we can wish list. When it's a limited weapon, I don't agree with what we're about to see. When you go up to OB10, now all of a sudden, it's not just, because this doesn't do any damage, this is just straight a buff weapon. Your P attack can now actually go up to high. 25 seconds. The lightning damage increase still stays mid to high, that doesn't change. Still lasts for 25 seconds. The healing potency hasn't changed, it's still at 7%. What has changed though, the big thing aside from the P attack now finally be able to go to high on that second cast, there is no longer an HP threshold here. So it doesn't matter whether you have 1% of your HP or 100% of your HP. Lightning damage is going to increase from mid to high for all allies for that 25 seconds. I don't mind seeing this for OB10 weapons, because now it kind of gives us something to really work towards other than just the stats. You know, we can say this weapon's really worth boosting to OB10, this is really worth wishlisting or trying to go for those ticket draws and things like that. You know, some of these weapons, it doesn't make, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's OB6 or OB10, you're going to see a slight stat change here and some slight changes here. This doesn't change much. So I don't actually mind the change for this for OB10. Like I said, now if this was a limited weapon, I would have a huge issue with this. OB6 is where those changes should stop, and okay, let damage increase from OB6 to OB10. I'm fine with that. But with it being a wishlistable weapon, a weapon that's not going to be going away, I am fine with this happening at OB10. Alright, boost heal has gone to 62, but again, 36 points really when we cut that in half as an offhand weapon. So you're at 60% to your healing potency, your buff debuff is at 39 points, so 19. You hit 80% on your effect duration. So again, it's a good weapon. It's really situational because again, it only is going to be useful in anything where you're battling a lightning weak enemy. Beyond that, it increases P attack and has a very, very, very small heal. If we look at Aerith's weapons, now again, some of you may not have this weapon, that's possible. Aerith, we're looking for, I think it's the Chimera Wand. You know, at OB1, this thing already increases P attack mid to high. At OB6, it's high to high for 16 seconds, and then it goes to 20 seconds, which I think the other one's at 25 seconds at this point, but it's high to high. It also increases MDef. Yes, there's this the health threshold. It heals to 7%. The only thing this thing is not doing is it's not boosting lightning potency. It's going to boost HP, boost buff debuff, and it has that all cure. You could main hand this thing. Problem is Chimera Wand was a limited weapon. So if you don't already have this thing, you know, you really can't, you know, put those together like that then. You had the Crimson one, which was magic attack. I think it was her only P attack increase like that. If I remember correctly, it should be. Yeah. So anyway, you can kind of compare it to the Chimera Wand, but like I said, Chimera Wand was a limited time weapon. So before I go further into should you pull on this, the other thing that was also with this banner is Red 13 got a new ultimate weapon, the Limited Moon. So let's take a quick look at it. Alright, so it casts a magic heal for 110% healing potency to all allies. It applies exploit weakness to all allies 40% for 60 seconds. Now I mentioned this on the update video that I did. It also has an extension of 60 seconds. So whether you're casting this the first time or they've already got exploit weakness up, you're going to add 60 seconds to that time. it's going to charge for 60 seconds. So literally when the time it runs out, you can pop it back off again, and you're basically going to have exploit weakness for essentially what could be most of the entire battle, in theory. It does only have 2 uses. I think Tifa's is the only one so far where we've gotten a 3-use ultimate weapon. I could be wrong in that. This is good. I like this. I mean, like I said, if you already have a character who had an exploit weakness weapon, so like for example, we can look at Yuffie here with her Rockstar guitar. There it is. You know, she's given exploit weakness for 50% to all allies. Now it's at 30% for 30 seconds. So you could then cast Red 13s. It's going to boost that potency from 30% to 40%. Now, I mean, yeah, you could take it up to OB10, and that's still 30%. So anyway, where I'm at with OB6, 30% for 30 seconds. I can then cast Red 13s. It's going to boost that to 40% to all allies. Add another 60 seconds to that, so it's going to last a minute and a half. That's going to last a while. Now, we do have, like, you know, single characters, obviously. I don't have her Bird of Prey that has that, but we could look at, like, Tifa's Daffodil Gloves here. You know, where I'm at, so about 40%. So it's not going to change the 40% at all, but, you know, if at this it's lasting 50 seconds, add that 60 seconds to it, it's lasting almost a full 2 minutes. So it's a pretty decent ultimate weapon. I do like it. Is it broken? No. Is it a absolute must-have right this second? Probably not either. But if you are able to nab it in your draws, I'm sure you won't be sad. So that brings us to the ultimate question here. Do you pull on this banner? Unless you've got a bunch of, you know, blue crystals sitting around, or again, you're that whale, I really don't think there's a need to pull on this banner. Or again, unless you have to have everything for Aerith. I don't think this is a must pull. It's got some new shiny stuff with it, with those R abilities that we haven't seen before, which is going to be enticing. But in the end, like I said, I really don't feel like those R abilities are earth-shattering, game-breaking, or anything like that. Once we hit the 2-year anniversary, I'm sure we're going to see some of those, where it's going to completely change the meta of the game. So we've still got, coming up in August, I think it is, the Dragon Quest Builders or Warriors. Dragon Quest Heroes, was it Builders? Anyway, it's one of the Dragon Quest games. It's a crossover. And again, I'm sure we're going to see some new meta-changing R abilities there. We'll have the 2-year anniversary the month after that, which again, I'm sure we're definitely going to see some changes to the meta of the game, with some of those R abilities are going to drop, and some of the weapon abilities are going to pop as well. So this is one I think you can hold off on. Wishlist the weapon for later. Yeah, the outfit's cool, but like I said, in the end, that lightning potency to all allies is really just helping your DPS only for what I feel like is going to be a small amount. So that's kind of my thoughts on the banner. Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on the banner. And, you know, tell me what you think. So we're going to call it here. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, if you're new to the channel and you do like what you see, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.